Push hard. Say nothing. See yourself change. There comes a time in your life when you grow tired, not physically, but emotionally tired, of announcing what you're going to do. You grow weary of declaring dreams that have yet to take shape, of sharing blueprints before you've even cleared the ground. Maybe it happened to you like it did for Jordan. Jordan had always been a big dreamer, a visionary, an idea person, the kind of person who would light up a room with grand plans and inspiring visions of the future. "I'm going to write a book," Jordan would say. "This is the year I finally launch that business. Watch me turn everything around." And people would cheer, offer encouragement, applaud the ambition. It felt good, like momentum, like something had already begun, except it hadn't. Jordan's notebook was full of ideas, outlines, and half-baked timelines, but no book. The business plan was a Google Doc lost in a sea of tabs. The transformation never came, because somewhere along the way, Jordan had mistaken the applause for progress. The announcement had become the action. The validation of others had become the fuel. And when that fuel ran out, so did the drive. It took several cycles of this, big declarations followed by quiet fades, before something shifted. It wasn't some dramatic revelation, just a quiet morning and a mirror. Jordan looked at their own reflection and felt it deeply. "I'm tired of being the person who talks about the house, but never lays the foundation." The promises made aloud no longer held the same power. In fact, they had become weighty things, burdens rather than motivators. So Jordan made a new vow, but this time only to themselves. No more announcements, no more press releases for dreams not yet born, no more trading intention for attention. And it changed everything. Without the need to perform progress, Jordan finally began making it. Quiet mornings turned into steady work. The book was written in silence, page by page, without a single social media update. The business was built brick by brick, not broadcasted, but nurtured in the dark, until it was strong enough to stand in the light. There were no more promises, only presence. No more sharing for approval, only showing up for the work. Because here's the truth Jordan had to learn the hard way, and maybe you have too. Telling people your plans doesn't make them real. It doesn't make you disciplined. It doesn't make you consistent. It doesn't build your dream. Only action does that. So now, you move differently, quietly, steadily. You no longer chase the spark of validation. You've become the fire. Let the foundation be laid in silence, because when the structure finally rises, it will speak for itself, and the world will see not what you said you would do, but what you did. That speaking your ambition too soon often robs it of its strength. That broadcasting every move creates pressure without purpose and noise without depth. You're done performing for approval, done chasing applause for effort that hasn't even been tested, done building dreams around how they look rather than how they function. You've let go of the need to be seen before you've even become someone worth looking at. Because you've realized that there is power, deep, unshakable power in the unseen. The early hours, the unposted efforts, the private grind. That's where the real you is born. You're no longer interested in public declarations. Why shout about the destination when the road ahead is still long, steep, and unforgiving? Why rush to share the vision when it's still forming in the fire? Why gather a crowd when the performance hasn't even begun? You've made a choice to be anonymous in your process so you can be undeniable in your results. To keep your head down and your spirit steady. To move in silence because sound doesn't build substance, discipline does. Let others talk about what they're planning. Let them seek approval for every small step. You'll let your silence do what their words never could. Build something real. Because when the time comes, when the foundation is solid, when the frame is built, when the structure can hold weight. You won't need to say a word. They'll see it. They'll feel it. And they'll know. You weren't quiet because you had nothing to show. You were quiet because you were becoming something worth showing. There's no need to shout from the rooftops anymore. You've learned to love the solitude. You've learned that the only validation that matters is the one that comes from looking in the mirror and seeing someone who no longer needs to be seen to feel real. So now you move differently. No press releases, no public updates, just action, just work, just relentless, silent progress. Because greatness isn't declared, it's proven. You're not chasing recognition anymore. Not the likes, not the retweets, not the fleeting applause of digital onlookers. You've stopped measuring your worth by how loudly the world sees. Now, you rise without announcement. You don't post your grind, you embody it. You don't need others to witness the effort. You witness it. And that is enough. You show up on the hard days, not because someone is watching, but because you are. You've become your own audience, your own accountability. You've removed the emotional crutches, stepped away from needing outside validation to fuel your inner engine. And that kind of discipline, the quiet, unwavering kind, is the strongest of all. Because it's not rooted in fear of judgment. It's not driven by a desire to be seen. It's rooted in alignment, in knowing exactly who you are and who you're building yourself to become. You've chosen a path that few take, the path where progress is invisible until one day it's undeniable, where the only scoreboard that matters is your integrity, and the only person you compete with is the version of you from yesterday. You've come to understand a deeper truth. Success isn't just about reaching a destination. It's about who you are in the dark, who you are when no one's clapping, who you are when there's no reward yet, only the repetition, the resistance, and the resolve. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's your mantra now. You don't need to explain what you're building. You don't need to talk about what's next. You don't need to prove your value to people who can't see your vision. You just need to keep showing up. Keep sharpening. Keep choosing the quiet road. Because real power doesn't yell. Real power moves in silence until the silence speaks louder than anything else ever could. You've made a decision that most won't. You've committed to the kind of consistency that yields no applause, the kind that pays no instant rewards, the kind of commitment where progress feels invisible, where no one is there to pat you on the back, where you plant seeds that take months, maybe years, before they show signs of life. You've learned to stop asking, "When will it show?" Instead, you've started asking, "Will I show up again today?" You've begun to understand that the magic isn't in the moment of arrival. It's in the mundane, in the silence of the early morning alarm, in the uncomfortable grind of repeating the same disciplined choices, in choosing what's right over what's easy, over and over and over again. You're learning to love the repetition, not because it's exciting, but because it's transformational. Because now you know, it's not the big dramatic moves that shape your destiny. It's the small, consistent ones you choose when no one's watching. You've stopped chasing glamour. The grind isn't sexy anymore. It's sacred. It's become the altar where you meet your future self each day. No cameras, no quotes, no crowds. No one's giving you credit. There are no awards for staying focused. No spotlight for staying sober or disciplined or relentless. No one is clapping when you say no to distractions or when you show up to do the work while others are still asleep. But still, you show up. Still, you train. Still, you learn. Still, you work. Because this isn't about recognition. This is about alignment. It's about building a life that honors who you said you'd become. And you're no longer addicted to being seen. You're addicted to being real. Every quiet step you take is another nail in the foundation. Every repetition in the dark is one more brick. And slowly, without fanfare, you are building something solid, something unshakable. Not just a skill set, not just a body, not just a future, but a self, a man, a code. You've realized that self-respect isn't something you post. It's something you earn, privately, brutally, beautifully, through daily acts of discipline. As the Greek philosopher Epictetus once wrote, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That's the creed now. Not to announce it, not to flaunt it, but to become it. So you keep going, not for likes, not for claps, but because you said you would. Because one day, the world will see what you've built, and they'll call it sudden. But you'll know, it was never sudden. It was just silent. Because you've realized something powerful. This is not about them. Not anymore. It's not about who knows what you're doing. It's about who you become when no one knows. When no one's clapping. When no one's checking in. When no one's watching. You've chosen the quiet path. The one where your progress won't be applauded, but it will be real. Where your effort is measured not in likes or attention, but in how much stronger, sharper, and more resilient you become. And when the results finally speak for themselves, you won't have to say a word. Push hard. Say nothing. Because real transformation doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand recognition. It doesn't unfold in the spotlight or under a filtered lens. It happens in silence, away from the noise, far from the performative pace of modern life. Real change, the kind that reshapes your identity and rewrites your inner narrative, begins in the quiet corners of the day. In the hours before dawn, when the world is still asleep and distraction is dormant. It begins when there are no eyes on you, no hand claps, no audience, no applause. Just you, raw, unfiltered, and honest. You and the uncomfortable truth of who you've been, and the vision of who you know you can become. You're not just improving your habits. You're refining your essence. You're chiseling away at the weaker parts of yourself, breaking them down piece by piece, not to impress the world, but to build a man you can respect. And that process? It's sacred. It's yours. It's not meant for social media. It's not meant for weekly check-ins with people who don't understand the war you're waging within. This kind of growth doesn't need to be documented. It needs to be lived. Because in the end, becoming someone new isn't about optics. It's about alignment. It's about moving from who you pretend to be to who you were meant to be. That's not a performance. That's a transformation. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Don't tell the world how hard you're working. Let your new character, your discipline, and your results become the proof. Let your silence be your shield, and your progress be your voice. Because when you push with full force, but speak with none, you channel your energy inward, where it counts. You stop wasting time seeking validation and start investing in quiet mastery. And slowly, day by day, without needing to say a single word, you begin to change. Not in a way the world will notice instantly, but in a way that will shape everything you touch. You'll carry yourself differently. You'll choose your battles wisely. You'll speak less, observe more. You won't chase attention. You'll command respect. Not by force, not by noise, but by being the kind of man who doesn't need to prove anything anymore, because he already knows who he is. So, push hard. Say nothing, change everything. You'll sense it long before anyone else notices. The shift won't be loud, it won't come with a celebration or applause. But you'll feel it, deep in your thoughts, in the quiet corners of your mind where self-doubt used to live. You'll start noticing how different you're becoming, not because the world changes its tone, but because you no longer respond the same way. You'll begin to think clearer, more intention, less impulse. The mental fog that once made you second-guess everything will start to lift. You'll stop living in reaction to chaos and start living in alignment with your purpose. The noise that used to distract you will fade into the background. Because you're no longer trying to keep up, you're building something they can't see yet. Then comes the emotional control. Where you once spiraled, you'll now pause. Where you once reacted with fire, you'll now sit with stillness. You'll start mastering your emotions, not suppressing them, but understanding them. And with that understanding comes restraint, not weakness, wisdom. And then, almost like a spark in the dark, discipline starts to burn. Not the kind that's loud or performative, the kind that shows up in the small things. Getting up and one day, everything went quiet. His friends moved on. The praise stopped. The followers stopped engaging. No more cheers, no more feedback, just him and the silence. At first, it crushed him. The absence of attention felt like failure. But then, something unexpected happened. He kept showing up, kept training, kept learning, kept working. Not for attention, not for likes, but for himself. And slowly, he started to change. His mind became sharper, his actions more deliberate, his energy no longer scattered, but focused like a blade. He learned to live without applause, and in doing so, he became unshakable. You see, that's what silence does. It removes the noise that makes you chase approval and replaces it with clarity. It shows you what you're really made of when no one's cheering you on. And that's exactly why it works. Because in the quiet, there's no room for excuses. No one to impress. Just you, standing in front of the mirror, asking yourself the only question that matters. Did you show up today? Not for them, not for praise, but for the man you're becoming. And if the answer is yes, day after day, quietly, consistently, that's where transformation lives. That's where strength is built. That's where character is forged. So embrace the silence. Let it strip away your ego. Let it expose your weaknesses. Let it sharpen you. Because when you push hard and say nothing, you stop performing and start becoming. And when you emerge from that quiet season, you won't have to announce anything. The world will feel the shift without you saying a word. So keep going, even when your motivation fades, even when the excitement that once lit the fire is long gone, and all you have left is discipline and a distant vision. Keep going when your muscles ache and your mind tells you to rest. Keep going when the room is silent, when no one notices your effort, when no one asks how you're doing or whether you're making progress. Keep going, especially then. Because those moments, they're the ones that matter most. Anyone can grind when it's easy. Anyone can post wins when the momentum is high and the likes are flowing. But what separates those who change from those who simply try is what they do when no one is clapping. When it hurts, don't retreat. Push harder. When it's quiet, don't panic. Keep building. When you feel invisible, don't fold. Trust the process. This journey isn't for the crowd. It's not a performance. It's not a highlight reel. It's a private war between the man you are and the man you're becoming. And that war isn't won in front of cameras. It's won in solitude, in darkness, in hours no one will ever applaud. You're not doing this to be seen. You're doing it to evolve, to become sharper, more grounded, more disciplined, more dangerous in the quietest way. Because one day, you'll look in the mirror and realize you didn't need noise, you didn't need a crowd, you didn't need praise, permission, or applause. All you needed was your own unwavering commitment, your grit, your vision, and your silence. And when that moment comes, when everything finally clicks, when your energy has shifted and your presence speaks volumes, you'll understand why you had to walk through the fire alone. As the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, invisible threads are the strongest ties. The invisible efforts, the invisible sacrifices, the silent discipline, those are the threads that hold your future together. They're unspoken, unseen, but unbreakable. So don't stop, don't slow down, don't explain, don't justify. Just keep rising, keep sharpening, keep becoming. Push hard, say nothing, and watch how you change. Because the real ones don't need to be loud. They only need to be undeniable. If this resonates with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update.